Go into your working folder and open up two things, clipping masks _2 and clipping masks _3. Not really a whole lot of difference between the two, but enough. Start with 3. Now in 3, we've got this vector shape right here. If you don't recognize that, that's the state of Kansas, where I currently reside. Kansas is easy to draw. It's a rectangle, just about. And so I chose it for one reason, it's easy. The other reason is I do live here. And the third reason is that photograph is actually a Kansas wheat field after the wheat has been kind of chopped down. I want to create a mask out of that. Now the procedure is exactly the same, but I just want to make you understand, or just let's nail this down. It's not about vector. Vector, yes, for the state of Kansas, but photographs or anything else can be used. So let's do this. Let's bring it down to about the center, somewhere around there. I need it bigger. I need a bigger state. So I'm going to hold down the Alt key, and that's the Option key on a Mac, Alt in Windows, and the Shift key to draw out from center and keep the proportions. And there's a big Kansas. All right. Get it right about there. Now another thing, they are both in the same layer, which is absolutely fine. Just make sure this is on top. Select both. Go up to the word Object and go down to Clipping Mask Make. And there you go. We have the state of Kansas as an outline outlining a wheat field in Kansas after the wheat has been chopped down. Okay, let's go to number 2 over here. Let's say that we don't have a vector image of the state of Kansas. And let's say that we don't live in Kansas, we live like in Idaho or someplace, or maybe it's Great Britain or Germany or something, and you're trying to draw that outline, and it's not that you can't do it, okay? It's just that it's really kind of hard. So you go out on the internet and you look for kind of like a photograph or a drawing, not a vector, a drawing of what you're trying to do, like in my case, Kansas. Now I do have one. This is what I want you to do. Create a new layer. And let's name the new layer Kansas. And actually I'm going to name layer 1 wheat field. Okay, this text layer is this up here. We don't need to work with that at all, so I've got that locked. No big deal. Select Kansas, that layer. Go up to the word File, go to Place, and go into your working folder for this chapter, and you will find Kansas PSD. This is a photograph. So what I did was I went out on the internet and I found a site that's got the outlines of the states of the Union. Okay, I picked Kansas. I brought it into Photoshop. I removed, made transparent the areas kind of around here. Okay, so they're transparent. That's going to help me out. And I click Place. Now for import options, convert layers to objects, click OK. Go ahead and place it. There it is. Now, I can't use that as a clipping mask. So what I want to show you here is something that we can do that I'm going to spend a whole chapter on a little bit later, and that is tracing. When you have a photograph selected, you will see up here, Image Trace. Now, if you don't, you will see that. But if you didn't, for some reason, you can go to the word Object and go down to Image Trace right here. Okay, either way, you're going to get to it. I need to convert that into a vector. Now, this is not new. It's getting better with every version, but I think it is one of the coolest things that ever happened in Illustrator. I do a lot of sketching and drawing on paper. You're not going to take that away from me. And my problem was I used to bring that in as a scan and then actually sit there with my pen tool and trace it out. I don't have to do that anymore. I have this. It's a photograph. I need to convert it into vector. Select it. Click Image Trace right here. You've just converted this into vector. Now we're not done. There's a couple of things we need to do. But basically you now have, this is black, and that's the default. It goes to black and white. You can come up here if you want to on presets, and again, we'll talk more about this later, but you could give it color if you wanted to. Now, in order to use it and to get rid of the stuff right here, there's actually 2 ways we can do that. Let's use kind of the basic way. Click the expand button here. Now, when you do, it actually literally converts it into a vector. If I pick up my direct selection tool now and come over here, I should be able to select in that area and delete it. I don't need that. As a matter of fact, if it was there, I'd get a square and not the state of Kansas. So I'm getting rid of that by selecting it and deleting it. Now, there actually is one more thing we have to do. See the black that goes around it? Okay, that is a vector object that's separate from the solid blue in the middle. And if we try to use that as a mask, it's going to confuse the system as to what to use. So we need to get rid of that too. Here's an easier way to do it, at least in this one case. I'm going to select the middle. So I've got all the blue. That's one big piece. I'm actually going to go to the word edit and say cut. Now see this? Let me do this. Let me lock wheat field for a second and grab all this stuff and just delete it. We don't need it. Let's unlock wheat field and go back, make sure you're in Kansas. Go back to the word edit and say paste in place. Okay, we're guaranteed now we have one big piece. If we hadn't done that, it really wouldn't have worked. Now we can, make it bigger if you want to, but let's not worry about that. Let's go ahead and do our thing. Go ahead and select all the stuff. Go up to the word object on the pull-down menu and go down to clipping mask make. And one more time. So if you draw what you want, it can be anything. It can be a circle, a triangle, a piggy. It doesn't matter what it's going to be. But if you feel like it would be easier to find something, like a photograph, and use it, but you can't use a photo, suggestion to me would be take it into Photoshop, solidify the color, take out any white areas in the background, bring it into Illustrator, live trace it, get rid of the parts you don't need. It's vector. Boom, you got it. Clipping mask with vector or starting out as raster. Doesn't make any difference.